Hi everyone, welcome back to the 3 o'clock session. We are here to talk about mental health on the road. Start out with my story. So my mental health journey has never been positive. I was never a depressed person. I would never say I was anywhere near clinically depressed, but I was never a happy person. I read an article once and it talked about type D personalities, people who not depressed, not clinical, but not happy and bubbly by any means either. And I think that was me on the lower end of the happiness level. And life was never, life turned into drudgery and work and family, and I loved my family very much and loved everything about it, but it was never bubbly. I think that's a fair statement. And then I got on the road, and when I found living in a van, my life drastically improved. My outlook on life drastically improved. I lived for 6 years in a van, and I was much, much happier in the van than I'd ever been before, ever. Although it was going through a very traumatic time I was going through a divorce and fighting about the kids. But once all that got settled out, and we did get that settled out, and my ex-wife and I became better friends than we had ever before. We were better friends then. And we worked out our relationship and lives together and parenting our sons. And I was happier living in the van than I'd ever been. And I kept watching the people I worked with and the people I knew and came to realize that most of them weren't very happy with their lives. They were just enduring their lives, going to a job they hated every day, worried about money and just enduring life and getting through the best they could. I think that describes the vast majority of us. Just enduring life, getting through it the best we can. And it certainly described me. I can only speak for myself. And then after a while, I remarried, and that was a disaster and was not very happy. And moved into a house and despised every second I spent in the house. Didn't want it out as soon as I could. Came out onto public land, got out of that marriage and started living on public land and living in my van. And that went much better. One of the few times in my life I experienced joy. Moments of being in nature brought me so much joy. It was good, really good. The only time I would say I was really happy. And then 2011, my son took his life, one of my oldest sons, my only son. I have two sons, my oldest son took his life. And as you can imagine, that kind of puts a downer on your whole life experience in a way that few things do. Been through the divorce already, the fighting about the kids, and that was pretty horrible. That this was something at another level. And that my son took his life on May 1st of 2011. On August, I had a horrendous motorcycle accident. Demolished my elbow, demolished my wrist on my right arm. And I've always wondered if that was a suicide attempt. I'll never know. It was completely unconscious if it was. I'm not aware of it. I had not coped well with the death of my son, and I wondered if I was finally going to cope with it in that way, and I don't know. But I was then laying flat on my back for several months in constant pain relief, pain medication. Then I was in rehab, which was very, very painful. And then one day my physical therapist told me that, at that time, now I have a fantastic doctor. At that time, that was as close as I could get to my forehead or my head, and my fingers were locked. Couldn't move any of my fingers, couldn't touch my face, my shoulder locked up from lack of use. And he told me, I don't know why you can't move. I don't see any reason. This may be permanent. And so when I drove home that night, it was just too much. I said to a higher power, as I understand the higher power, that I'm done. I'm done. You take care of this, or I'm done. I'm ending my life. I'm going to kill myself. And and I meant it with everything that was in me. And the only reason I could think of to keep waking up in the morning was my dog, and I thought I was pretty content I could find a good home for him. And within that week, a guy I just barely knew wrote me and said he was going to come and camp with me, and he did, and we camped together continuously for the next year, and that was enough. That was enough. I was not going to take my life. Responsibility to him, having a friend, I don't know. He never knew any of this. I never told anyone. I was completely alone in my desolation. And so things turned around. And so I kept waking up every morning, and every morning the question was a constant every day of my life for the many years was, why am I alive today in a world when my son is dead? No answer. And so this is the answer. If I'm going to be alive, there better be a good reason the next morning, and you are the reason. And so in 2011, starting in 2011, I started doing more and more things. We started the forum, and the forum was a tremendous impact on people's lives. And we had our first summer RTR. The RTR was already going. That was the second RTR of after I broke my arm. We had our first summer RTR. I started the forum. YouTube was still far ahead in the future, but that was to come. I just became more active and involved in people's lives, and finding a reason every day when I could say, when the question came up to me again, my head that day again, why am I alive in a world in which my son isn't? That was the answer. I can help people, and as long as there's someone I can help, I should be alive. And Steve was there. Steve saved my life. Thank you. I think the higher power that brought Steve into my life and gave me a purpose, because I would not be here otherwise. And so it just happened. It just kept going through a lot of deep depression for a very long time. And sometime last year, I became aware that the depression decreased with time. You know, it was 100% of the time for years. And then it was half the time for a year or two. And then it was less, and it would just come on and then go away. And then it would be, sometime last year, I realized I was depression free. And that was, I hadn't been depressed in a very long time. And I don't know, again, and beyond that, but beyond that, it was the three people a higher power brought into my life to do this with, and the bond that we found together. And so I'm here, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful.